So the video you're just about to watch comes from one of my online preparation courses, either the theory preparation course, or teaching in pool and classroom, or the full IDC preparation course. There's lots more information in the link below, and there's also lots more information at the end of this video. Anyway, enjoy the video. I hope you learn from it, and I certainly hope to see you again soon. Thanks. So this is going to be all about those PADI exam questions that relate to breathing. Things like dead airspace, overexertion, exchange of gases, and also questions that relate to free diving. Things like the mammalian diving reflex, the deep stomach breathing, and shallow water blackout. So whilst it's important for you to know the answers to questions like these for your exam, it's also important for you to know how to teach these subjects. I mean, you're going to be a PADI instructor soon. So let's imagine that you'll be teaching all of this on a dive master course in the very near future. It's not a difficult subject to teach, providing you get your class up to speed with the basics first. It's a good idea for you to prepare them at the start of the lesson by getting them to remember just how it feels when they get a build-up of carbon dioxide in their lungs. You know that feeling of air starvation, slight panic, confusion, etc.? Actually, it's a really good idea to teach this lesson to them just before they need to do the equipment exchange stress test, because if they remember this lesson, it's going to help them keep relaxed. Oh, and if you're heading for your IDC soon, it's also a good idea for you to keep this lesson in mind while you're doing your skill circuits. It will certainly help you keep relaxed, especially during those times when your regulator's going to be behind your shoulder or someone else is turning your air off in those air depletion exercises. So, getting back to you teaching your Dive Master course. As I said, to get your team prepared, maybe you can ask the group just to stop breathing, just for a short moment. But before you do, maybe you could just ask them how they think they're going to feel. Maybe some of them will say that they expect that they'll be starved of oxygen and desperate to breathe in. But that's not going to happen, is it? That won't happen, because if you ask them just to stop breathing, I mean mid-breath, in other words, no big deep breath in, just stop. And then after a short while, they'll begin to feel that build-up in their lungs. And far from feeling starved of oxygen, they'll all feel the need to breathe out. And virtually everyone in your class will exhale forcefully after a short while. It's that urge to get rid of carbon dioxide that's the real priority. And associated with that is that feeling of breathlessness, panic, general discomfort. So breathing is primarily about two gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. But for us scuba diving instructors in this context, one of these gases is far more important than the other one, and we're about to find out which one that is. So once your dive masters are thinking about how uncomfortable carbon dioxide can feel, it's not difficult for them to realise that it takes a fairly long out-breath to get rid of it. If they were to give a very short out-breath, the carbon dioxide wouldn't get very far. They'd breathe it back in, add more carbon dioxide, and that will worsen any symptoms. So this, of course, is the concept of dead airspace. We need to breathe out long enough for the air to travel from the alveoli all the way through our pipes to the outside world. The same on the in-breath. We need to breathe deep enough to get the fresh oxygen from the outside air right the way through all of the pathways and into our bloodstream, into the alveoli. And imagine if we were breathing through a snorkel. The air would then have to travel even further, and all of these passageways added together is called the dead airspace. PADI dead airspace questions are nearly always focused on the need to breathe slowly and deeply to reduce the effect of dead airspace. Now, experienced instructors, they're always making sure that their students at all levels are breathing correctly. And once you become an instructor, if you get a nervous diver on any course who's breathing shallow and fast, they'll soon add to their problems as their carbon dioxide levels start building up. and that soon provides you with a very real problem on top of their imagined problem. And while we're on this subject, I still find it amusing that the advice for people who are panicking for whatever reason underwater is to breathe slowly and deeply. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been really nervous while underwater, but if you're really scared about something real or imaginary, the last thing that you'll be able to do is control your breathing. But to be honest, now we know what our real enemy is, the solution is simply to blow away the carbon dioxide. The in-breath will look after itself, and after a while, you'll soon calm down. It's only then that you can retain control over your breathing. We can now move on with confidence with our next subject, which is overexertion. It's very much like everything that we've already spoken about here. In fact, anything that can make our breathing shallow and fast will cause problems with carbon dioxide. And so, in an exam, the correct answer will always be the answer that suggests that you rest, relax, regain control, breathe slow, deep, that sort of stuff. Oh, actually, now we understand a little bit more about carbon dioxide, we can look a little bit closer at Paddy's most important rule of scuba diving. Breathe continuously and never hold your breath. Many instructors think that this is only to do with preventing lung overexpansion injury, and some instructors even think that it's not applicable if people are kneeling on the floor of a pool. But they're wrong. They're very wrong, because blowing out those small bubbles when the regulator isn't in the mouth is a very sensible thing to do, because it's continuously removing any carbon dioxide that's accumulating in the lungs. It's helping to prevent the student from that uncomfortable feeling of a carbon dioxide build-up. Well, we've looked at all of the advantages of breathing, and now what we're going to do is look at some PADI questions that you're going to find regarding free diving. In other words, where we're not breathing, we're holding our breath underwater. So free diving has become so popular recently, and it's a great sport. I'm guessing that many of you are already getting involved with it. And as far as PADI questions are concerned, they're just a couple of areas to deal with. Now, the first two subjects are both to do with calming divers before a breath hold dive. The mammalian diving reflex and the diaphragmatic breathing. I think that both of these are of particular interest because as an instructor in the real world, I've been using both of these methods to calm my open water students for years. The mammalian diving reflex applies to all mammals. It's where cold water around the face slows down the heart rate and helps to relax the body. Of course, it works better on some mammals than on others, but when you're next teaching your open water course, especially in chilly water, it's a really good idea for you to get your divers to put their face in the water at the surface, lift in their mask for a few seconds, get their faces wet. It definitely relaxes people and has the added advantage of lessening that shock of mask clearing later on in the dive. But back to free diving. Free divers spend quite a while on the surface preparing for their dives. They put their face in the water to make use of that mammalian diving reflex. They relax and then they breathe deeply and slowly using deep stomach techniques that allow the diaphragm to move up and down with each breath. This calms the breathing, calms the body and calms the mind. The idea is to get as relaxed as possible while at the same time avoiding hyperventilation. Now, continuing with free diving, there's nearly always a PADI question about shallow water blackout. And this is where if a free diver is going to pass out, it's often near the end of their dive when they're ascending and getting close to the surface. And the reason is that while the free diver is still at depth, and the surrounding pressure is high, any oxygen left in the body is a higher partial pressure, keeping the diver conscious. But as the diver ascends, the surrounding pressure reduces, lowering that partial pressure continually. So by the time they're reaching the surface, the partial pressure of any remaining oxygen is extremely low, and sometimes this leads to unconsciousness. And that's why it's called shallow water blackout, because the partial pressure of oxygen is so low at shallow depths. Anyhow, there's not much left in this section, but since we've been talking about oxygen, and this is a little bit out of context, but Paddy often asks a question about the dangers of breathing pure oxygen at depth. And the danger will of course be oxygen toxicity. So that's it. So as usual, just to make sure that you're up to speed with all of this stuff, I've added some typical PADI exam type questions in the next lesson. So good luck with those, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you again in the next video. See you then. So welcome to the full IDC preparation course. I'm really excited about this program. The reason why I'm so excited is because it's absolutely jam-packed with all of my wonderful secrets that I teach throughout my whole IDC, which is of course why it's called the full IDC preparation course. So we'll have a little look. The screen we're looking at the moment is called your course player. This is going to become really familiar to you in the next few days. But let's have a look here on the left hand side and we'll find out what's involved down here. So down here we've got our theory topics: physics, physiology, equipment, diving skills, RDP, all that stuff. We'll have a little look a little bit deeper into those in a minute, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about what's in this program. So we scroll down a bit here, we've got PADI standards and procedures, right up to date. You can see the very latest version based on this year's PADI instructor manual. And then when we go down here, we've got some really exciting stuff: teaching in confined water. So this is how to make your confined water teaching presentations really effective and, more importantly, really relevant to your students right from the very start. It's a very powerful way of teaching, I'm going to show you here. Perfect for the real world, of course, but it's also really good for IDCs, and it's great for PADI instructor exams as well. So loads of powerful stuff in there. And scrolling down a little bit further, right down to the bottom, teaching in the classroom. Here, I often get asked, I find people on PADI IDCs, they're really not too sure how to structure teaching in the classroom. It's easier than you think, but it needs to be entertaining. It needs to be full of relevant stuff for your students. And in here, I'll explain how all that works. So let's go right back up to the beginning again and look at these theory topics. Let's see what's in here. We'll pick physics for an example. It's always everyone's favourite, isn't it, physics? So we click on physics and we find that physics is broken down into different subjects here. We'll pick on any one of them. Let's pick on, I don't know, effects of pressure. We'll have a look at effects of pressure. And here we see there's a video playing. So it's a lesson. It's going to last for 15 minutes. It shows you here. I'm going to stop the video. So we're in control. We can stop it, start it. We can get rid of this panel on the left-hand side by clicking these two arrows up here if we want to. Bring it back again. Of course, we've always got full screen, so you can put full screen on, sit back with a cup of coffee and just listen to the whole thing. Gives you, a lot more information. And then what happens, also you've got down here is complete and continue button if you want to, and that will stop the video and take you on to the next lesson. And after all of these lessons, the next lesson always is a quiz of what you've just heard, just to make sure you fully understand it. So here we've got like a question up here, very PADI type question, worded in the way that PADI would word questions. And just like PADI exams, 4 different answers that you can choose from. Find out which one is the one that you think is best suited. And just like on PADI exams, but not like on PADI exams, is if we just pick let's just pick one answer that's the wrong one and click on confirm. We find out it's the wrong answer, but not only that, not only will it tell you what the right answer is, but it will tell you why. So it will give you tips and advice where you've gone wrong to help you succeed. So all of the theory lessons are very similar to this. If we work down, loads of RDP questions, loads of diving skills and environment stuff, loads of videos on there to help you if you're not too sure of how all that stuff worked. When you've done all the theory, gone down here, what we can do then is, if you want to at this stage, go to the final mock theory exams. And here we find right up-to-date theory questions here, all based on like the really the latest questions that PADI are asking on their exams. So here we've got PADI Theory Mock Exam A. We go all the way A, B, C, D and E, 2022 version. As you can see, all of the questions where relevant are in metric and imperial, so it's really great for anybody. Or for everybody, I should say. And then the format and the content of these exams is the same as you'll find on your final PADI IE. The wording's not the same. The wording of the questions aren't the same. That's not the objective of this. It's not to tell you what the questions are going to be. It's just so that you can understand the theory, and not only understand it, but that you can teach it to other people as well. It's another objective of this course, really. Then once you've done the mock exams, you can go to the answer key here, and you can check your answers. And clearly, if you've got some wrong, you don't understand them, or you've forgotten, you can go back to the lessons and catch yourself up again. So you can work at your own speed, your own pace, and it's fun working through it this way. Then we've got PADI Standards and Procedures. Again, we've got these are all based on this year's PADI Instructor Manual, so right bang up to date with the new programs that PADI have introduced this year. They're all in here, so you can teach yourself and work your way around the PADI Instructor Manual. Loads of questions. There's 50 questions, 5 exams here. Each one's got 50 questions on it. Exactly the same format, exactly the same content as the ones you'll find on your final PADI Instructor exam. Once you've done those, you can have a look at your answers. You can check them with your answers. So here I've just gone to PADI Standards Mock Exam E, for example, answers. And here you can check your answers, see if you've got the right ones or not. But of course, a standard exam isn't really to do with your knowledge of standards. It's do you know where to find the standards in your instructor manual? PADI call it an open book. You can have your instructor manual with you when you take the exam, and what you really need to do is know where to find the answers in the manual. And to help you there, in this answers document, we've got all of the questions that we've asked before, but not only have we given you the correct answer, but also the page in the current instructor manual as to where you'll find the answer. So you can go back to the instructor manual and find out where to find the answer. So that's standards and theory dealt with. When we go to confined water, this is brilliant stuff here. So teaching in confined water, understanding your students. This really is good, finding out how your students learn, the psychology behind the students, or behind the way that you can teach your students. Or actually, I prefer to word it a different way. The psychology, not the way that you teach it, but the way that they learn it. So we've got like subjects on there, like on psychology, positive coaching, which is a really fantastic way of teaching people, correcting mistakes. And it gives empowerment to your students. It gives them ownership of their own learning, and it gives them empowerment as to the judge of the success is down to the student. So really it is the next thing here, student-centered training. It truly is explaining how we can make our teaching student-centered rather than instructor-centered. And when you start doing that, it's amazing how quickly students learn and how effectively they pick things up right from the beginning. Once again, this is perfect for IDCs and perfect for IEs as well. And of course, really perfect for the real world as well. Teaching in the classroom, I've already explained. It really does explain to you what we need to achieve in the classroom to get your students, in the right direction, and being able to understand and probably relate different subjects to each other. So lots more than that in the program. It's really full of fun. I'm really looking forward to working with you through this. And please why don't you join our Facebook page? We've got the Prior Knowledge Family Facebook page. If you join that, then you can let me know how you're getting on with this program. So I'm really looking forward to the future with you. Thanks now.